At the Cowboys drag race here as we see 2 horses, 1 steer, 2 Cowboys, 5 minds, all at work here. This scientific event, timing is the key to it. We've got the Cowboys, ordinarily the larger Cowboys, but mighty big steers here. And they're smart, time it just right, make the steer use his weight to throw him. If not, it comes down to strength, muscle, grunt, and groan.
All right, and we'll see how Kurt Lindell does in that category of the strength, muscle, grunt, and groan right here. Whoops.
Yep, well, he reached that point.
That steer took him right off of his feet. Now he's trying to reestablish his position. You see how tough this sport is on the knees. He's under the chin. Can he throw him? Oh, he finally does. Kurt Lindell, he had to go halfway down the arena to manage to get that steer to do what he wanted. The time will be 17 and 9/10 seconds. He broke the barrier, 10-second penalty for a total 27-9.
And his horse lunges out, breaking through that string in the barrier. And down he comes and has a little trouble putting the brakes on, giving to that knee possibly some, and this steer takes it all away from him and starts back down the arena. Once again, he must stop him, and he has to stand up, get in position to throw the steer, twist him over, get his nose up, and down he goes as John Patterson rides across in front of us.
And we'll see the very well-attired former Rookie of the Year, Dave Brock now. And a former calf roping champion gets that steer. Can he pull him over? Looks like he has a rubbernecker, sure enough. Oh my gosh, how much more effort can you put in there? And finally the inevitable happens. Dave Brock.
1978 World's Champion calf roper, and has an unusual title in that he's the Australian.
12.9 seconds on Dave Brock. That's a good time considering how much trouble he has.
Yes, Dave is also a title holder in Australia. In 1979, he won the calf roping down there. And here tonight, possibly he wished he was down there again, because he just can't get any cooperation out of this steer as he contently wags his tail as Dave strains and finally puts him all the way over. And the rule book says all 4 feet and head must be pointed in the same direction.
That's a good example of one thing, though. Certainly, that's the tremendous neck muscles that these animals have, and their ability to rubberneck is really something. Steve Murphy now, and he's a regular around here. He's from Foreston, Texas.
Oh, and Steve Bland, I'm sorry, from Trenton, Texas.
Oh, I'm sorry, forgive me, Steve Bland. That's right, from Trent. His brother John is a very, very good bull rider. And through that
got a brother Rex that's been to the national finals in the steer wrestling as well.
Yeah, but this time, no time for Steve Bland.
Reaches out, slides down the steer's back, gathers up the off horn, and comes around, loses the inside horn, and here the steer falls with him, falls on him partially, and he knows that he is well out of the money because it takes ordinarily under 7 seconds to place at Mesquite, and he knew he'd already been too long, too far, and a lot more than 7 seconds.
Here's a big guy right here, Steve Murphy from Foreston, Texas, and out he comes. He's a regular, has to go well down the arena, but that hazing horse kept that steer close, and whoops, look what got away.
He had visions of sticking it on him without standing up and shaping him. Certainly he's strong enough to do that to these big cattle, and a little disgusted with himself. But tonight those slick horns got away from him, and he was almost outrun. The hazing horse was out late, keeps his steer lined up where the cowboy can jump on him. Then the cowboy, his weight almost brings the steer to the ground. As he starts to twist, you see this smart steer just twist his horns right away from the cowboy. And see the disgust as he plans to throw a few clods in the direction of that steer.
Watch another regular. Bob Ans from Waco, Texas. We've seen him several times before. Very familiar face around here. He and the glasses he always wears.
Duplicated a 5-1 twice in a row here to win some money at Mesquite. And asked him last week if he's going to do it again. Said he wanted to be 4-1, and turned up he was 34-1.
And look at that time. Look at that effort by Bob Ans. He's going to get a great time with that.
He's going to look me up later, too, I bet.
He's in first place with a 5 flat.
Well, he did beat that 5-1, and we're glad to see that tonight. A very capable competitor. down in textbook fashion, turns this steer back as he comes around, has the nose up and the right horn back, and down this steer goes. And a 5 flat, up to his value in the record book too tonight.
Yeah, he was able to use that steer's momentum very well, wasn't he? It seemed that steer never really had a chance to quite right itself before Bob was had that chin bent around and was able to throw him.
Well, that's the way they say to do it in the textbook. And he may have written some of the textbook.
Right there. That was a textbook performance. You saw it firsthand.
Here's Danny Cowboy. Pardon me. Danny Herron has been 4-6 here earlier and has to be thinking about that 5 flat.
Well, he knows what he has to do now. We'll see if we get some inspired performances here down the stretch. Danny Herron up next. He's from Garland, Texas.
And a lot of it depends on what steer you draw, and all those other bulldoggers at the end of the pen are paying attention to the performance of the steers as well as the Cowboys. And Dan's going to get outrun.
Oh, he sure did get outrun, getting out in a little bit slow, and that steer ducks underneath him and gets away. That steer outran both Danny's horse and the Hazing horse, and they finally caught up with him over near the far fence, but by then, too late.
Now this steer can be a real good draw. This is one that the Cowboys like to draw. And right here, Danny's horse, I don't know whether he jerked him up and checked him or he thought he was going to move too soon, but he got a late start, was outrun, and you see him take the inside horn away from him as he started to get up and throw the steer. Smart move on this steer. When they take that left horn away from you, it's hard to regain any leverage anywhere.
Looked like he might have gotten poked a little bit with that horn too, JR, looking at that replay again.
Drug down his ribs and didn't sound like a xylophone either.
Yeah, I'll guarantee you that. Wade Longcrier, first time we've seen him this year. He is from Pryor, Texas.
Pryor, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, excuse me. He has to go well down the arena to manage to get his arms over the horns of this steer and is finally able to throw him. Down goes the flag, and we'll await the time for this Oklahoman, Wade Longcrier. 10 flat. 10 flat, and that puts him in the money, at least for the moment.
Black and white steer out running, and this young man really urging his horse on, having to play catch up a little bit. Now as he brings the steer around, he's against the wall and wouldn't have been in too good a shape even if he'd have been on his feet. But now he has to stand up and throw the steer back. The steer had already come to a complete stop, had no momentum to throw him, but he just strengthened him to the ground for a 10 flat.
We'll watch Bobby Crittenden now as he backs into the dogging chute. And I think he's going to go ahead and just back up again here and make sure that he's satisfied with and that his horse is comfortable in there. There's kind of a little art to that too, isn't there, JR?
Have to get this horse standing properly so he doesn't charge and break the barrier as far back there as he can get. Give him a good running start at these animals. And Bobby from Bulldogging Country, Waxahachie, Texas.
And he decides to pass by that steer. That one set up on him a little bit. And he did the wise thing because that steer came to a stop on a dime. I think they'll make a little mark on that one. The other Cowboys who are watching tonight.
Yes, put his number down in the book as this Cowboy comes a-riding on him. And on this particular occasion, the Cowboys did not get in front of the steer and set him up. This steer set up on his own accord. He's done this before, and he knows how well it works. And he also put something down in his book.
You know, what's tough about that, JR, is not the fact necessarily that the steer sets up. A lot of them, if they set up early enough, you can really hit them and get a great score. But the problem is that steer started out quickly, and then by the time the horses did catch up with it, then it set up, and boy, that's really tough to handle.
Well, if you're in the process of getting down, all of a sudden that steer stops. When he stops like that, he throws his head up, and it's a good way to get a horn in the mouth or in the face, or just miss and crash and burn, break an arm or a leg, crashing into the ground, and have the steer run over you. Several things can really get hairy when those steers decide to set up.
See what Butch Stokes does now as he gets into that uncompromising position. And whoa, that steer drags him a little bit. He'll have to get to his feet to throw him.
A backing up steer, awful hard in shape.
Well, let's see. Now he has that chin. If he can throw him over with a little help. He tipped him from underneath with that free hand, I think. And that finally brought him over with a little extra oomph. The time is 16 6/10 seconds. 16.6 for Butch Stokes.
Now then, we've got to watch again. And the steer bouncing back and forth, outrunning them for just a tad bit. Had a little room between the two horses, but they regained the proper positioning, and now the proper positioning is hard to gain when this steer is backing up. It's hard to get on your feet, get that head up, get that nose up, twist and turn, and bring him to the ground, and we'll just use our right leg and thump him from the underside and see if we can't help him tilt.
That's what it was. Jim Bynum next, and sure enough, that steer took a wicked turn on him and got outside the hazing horse. And so Jim Bynum had to pass by. There's a famous name in rodeo, Jim Bynum.
That particular steer is known for one or two other bad traits also.
All right, so Jim Bynum did not score on that. Let's go over the times. The winning time by Bob Enns as he wins again here. Good effort from Waco, 5 flat. His winning time. Following him at 10 flat is Wayne Longcrier from Pryor, Oklahoma. And then in third place, just getting into the money with a 12-9, Dave Brock, the world champion calf roper from Pueblo, Colorado. We'll return for more competition in the bareback riding and more here on ESPN. Stay with us.